Hi, welcome to a brand new guide to React. I'm your tutor, Samad Kantan. In this tutorial series, we are going to be looking at all the nitty-gritty of React. From a beginner's perspective, we would like to know what React is and what we can actually do with React. React is a JavaScript library for building interactive UIs. At the core of React lies components. Components are the building blocks of React. Components implement a render method that takes input data and returns what to display onto the screen. Now, inside of components, we will mostly likely see JSX, which is JavaScript and XML. JSX allows us to easily create HTML-styled components, and in the background, a transpiler called Bubble converts all of these JSX elements or templates into HTML in order to be consumed by the browser or the DOM. And this is a demonstration of a valid JSX. JSX allows us to assign markup to JavaScript variables. Worthy of notice is the fact that components come in two forms, function and class components. A function component is a plain JavaScript function which accepts prop as an argument and returns a React element. This is a little demonstration of a function in React. A class-based component in React requires you to extend from React component and create a render method which returns a React element. And again, this is a little demo of a class in React. The crucial method here is the render function. The render function is actually the function that gets called when we call this component in any part of our application. As we delve into writing some code, you will see us composing components using popular HTML elements such as buttons, forms, dialogues, screens in React apps. All these are collectively called components. Now, by the end of this tutorial, you should be able to compose any two ESS class-based components in the names header and content, plus two more functional React components, sidebar and footer. And then our last task here, in each of the components created in I above, demonstrate the use of JSX. Now, I'm assuming you must have had enough Premiere to React. If you have not, don't worry, I'll be dropping a link in the video description below. Okay, so on the left side of my screen is a fresh installation of a React app. You too can get this by running nps create react app on your command line prompt. What this tool does for us is it's going to clone this boilerplate onto our local development machine for us to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and save this onto Visual Studio Code text editor, where we are going to see an inside of these project files or folders. Now, the first folder here is the node modules. The node modules contains our project dependencies. And mind you, you do not tamper with any of these dependencies. The second folder here is the public folder. This contains our index.html file that is being rendered on the browser. Is that okay? So all our components are going to be saved into this or injected into this root element for it to be saved onto our DOM. The next folder here is the source folder. This folder contains our components that we'll be creating for our application. So the default component here is the app.js that comes with the boilerplate. Is that okay? So outside it, we have the package.json file. This file contains information of our project. As you can see, we have the name, the version, and the dependencies. Then scripts, the commands that we are actually going to use to view or start our development server, build a production ready app, test and eject commands are all being defined in our package.json file. So I'm going to go ahead and save this application in our browser. So on our command line terminal, I'm going to run npm run start. I'll hit enter. This is going to spin up a local development server for us to preview our project. Having saved our project successfully onto the browser, we can begin executing our tasks. Our first task here is to compose any two class components in the names header, content, plus two additional components, sidebar and footer, which are supposed to be functional. So two class components and two function components. In total, making it 4 components. So inside of my source directory, I'm going to create a subdirectory and give it a name of components. Then I'm going to create our first component being a header component of type class. Then the second component is the content component, also being a type of class. The sidebar component is a function component, as well as the footer component. So now we have 4 components. Is that okay? So I'm going to go inside the header component, and I'm going to compose a class component here. First off, I'm going to import the React library from React, and then we are going to start off with class. Then the name of the component is header, extend from the base class react.component. And then the most crucial but important method of every class component in React is the render method. So the render method is here, and we are supposed to export this component so as to be used by other components in our application. So I'm going to copy this. Since this is also going to be a class component, then I'm going to change the name of the class to being content. These are functional components. So it's going to take a different syntax. So we start off with function, then the name of the function. This is sidebar, and then optional arguments or properties. Then we are going to return something. Is that okay? So, but don't forget, we should also export the function so as to be used or make available to other components. So the footer, and I'm going to change the name to footer. Okay, so we are done executing the first task, which is to create 2 class-based components in React as well as 2 other function components in React. So now the next component is we are supposed to demonstrate the use of JSX. Is that okay? So let's start off with our header component. We are supposed to return JSX, and we learned that JSX is an XML-like JavaScript syntax. Is that okay? It will actually allow us to write HTML inside of JavaScript. So I'm going to introduce the div class, and I'm going to say this is header class component. I got the spelling right. So I'm going to copy this so that we move quickly. I'm going to return the same thing here, JSX, and this is the sidebar, and we have function here. This is not a class, so I'm going to change the text here to function and sidebar. Then we have the footer in the last component of type function, footer component. All right, so if we go back to our browser and refresh, still we do not see anything because we have not imported or made use of these components that we have just created. So since the app component is the default component that is installed in our scaffold or our boilerplate, we are going to, inside of it, this is where we are going to make use of our components that we have just created. So I'm going to start off with header. Okay, as you can see, this will automatically be imported into our app component. As you can see from the above, the header component has been included in this app component. So we have the content component, we have the sidebar component, and last off is the footer component. Is that okay? So these are the components that we have created. And so let's see if we go back to our browser. As you can see, these components are being rendered. The content here, the text should be content. Is that okay? Inside of the content component. So we have the header and the content being class components, and then the sidebar and footer being function components. And we have also demonstrated the use of JSX. This is a valid JSX. Aside returning static content like this, we can also render dynamic values and expressions inside of our JSX, denoted by a pair of curly braces. This is where we draw curtains for this video. In the upcoming video, we are going to introduce styling into our components. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If not, share your comments in the comment section below as I drive you safely on this journey to React. Bye bye. Oh no, hold on. Should have put on my shirt before recording this video. Okay, we're good now. Once again, see you. I'm out. Bye bye.